Hello, everybody.
Hi.
And welcome back to Things in My Head podcast.
I'm back.
We haven't recorded in a hot minute because of technical issues, but we're happy to be.
The technical issues meaning you moved. That was like...
That was a huge technical issue.
I was like, hello.
But I'm happy that we're back and recording, and really excited to talk about this specific topic.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
a really good one.
Wait, I have the next topic, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Moving back in with your mom.
Oh my gosh.
Because then you and Lauren should come back on because she moved in here for a little while.
That's true.
Okay,
So
but
yeah,
we'll come back.
We'll
That's
come
a
back
great
to
one.
that. But I was going to say, so yeah, we haven't been back in a minute. We're so happy to be back, and I just kind of wanted to run through our socials. Of course, you can find us at Brooks Boutique. That is, I manage and she owns. So if you ever have any luxury consignment that you'd like to bring in, feel free to stop by or look on our website. We have all the information there about how to consign and how everything works. And that's brooksboutique.com. Loves Brooks Boutique on Instagram and TikTok, and then Brooks Boutique Pearland on Facebook. And if you want to follow them on Sweet and Petite Duo, if you need any house or apartment help, if you want to find a house, rent a house, or buy a home, or even rent an apartment, you can go over to them and they can help you out on Sweet and Petite Duo. You can find more information. Also, their contact information is on brooksboutique.com as well under the real estate tab. So yeah, that is kind of our socials. If you want to email us here at Things in My Head Podcast, go ahead and email us at thingsinmyheadpodcast@gmail.com. We take suggestions. If you have any feedback for us, or if you have a topic that you really want to hear about, feel free to just email that podcast email.
So like we started this podcast because it gave us an opportunity to kind of delve deeper into the topic. So a lot of our listeners are our boutique family.
Yeah.
And we do some, behind the scenes or like live chats during the Facebook lives, but sometimes you can't like really get into it because people have to move on or they really want to shop or things like that. And so we were like, okay, we really want to share a lot more of like life and what happens, and so that's why the podcast came on. So sometimes it's random, sometimes it's a lot of how like behind the scenes and personal stuff. But this one is because if you're watching this now, we just announced that officially, though we've kind of been teasing it, so it's not like a huge surprise, but with no details, is we are, after 14 years, almost it'll be 14 years by the time we're done. We are moving Brooks Boutique, which again, if you're just finding us, we are a consignment boutique in Pearland, Texas, which is a suburb of Houston, but we opened there in 2011, and it's 2014. I mean, sorry, it's
I was gonna say
it's 20. I don't know where that came from. It's 2025 now, and our lease is up, and so we're moving. So I thought we would kind of record this podcast to go along with the announcement, but with a little bit more of the details and some lessons learned and stuff like that. But let me tell you this is random, not random, but I was thinking about this with Mark yesterday, my son. And I was like, my birthday is this month, and I got a text that said, if you don't know, like I'm original career was a nurse. And so I haven't done it in like, that was 15 years or 14 years, as long as I've had this boutique. But I got a text that said, oh, your nursing license is going to expire at the end of this month because it's my birthday month. And I was like, every time you renew it every 2 years. And really all you have to do is, get some CEs, which sometimes you just have to buy the CEs. so I kept just doing it thinking, an entrepreneur, you're like, maybe I'll have to go back to it. And at this point, if I went back to it, it would be very scary. And so I was like, I think I'm going to let it go. And so anyway, then of course he was like, tell me like when did you start your first nursing job? And I was like, I was 21 years old. And then he's like, how long? And then I said, oh, I went from 21 to 36 when I opened the boutique. And so I was like, 15 years. And then I thought, oh my gosh, 14 years is the boutique. So I'm like just basically the same of how long I was in my nursing career as I have had the boutique
Oh
which
my
is kind of
gosh.
crazy.
That's
right?
actually crazy.
So if there's a lesson in that, and then of course now Brooke and I do real estate along with it, if the lesson is don't let your job define you.
I was gonna say, you get the 14-year itch and you're like, I gotta start something new.
Well, the funny thing is, it's like, and then I'll probably, how I'm about to turn 50. So I was like, well, I don't know if I would say 20 more years. Can I retire sometime? But I was like, maybe another 15 years in real estate.
Gosh.
So anyway, I thought that was another.
I was gonna
like,
say, that's just good because it keeps you motivated, keeps it fresh, and it's
But
new.
It really makes you realize, because I didn't have this in my nursing job, especially younger, climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
I defined myself so much by my job, my title, my salary, because that's what the world makes you think is important.
Yeah.
And so thank God I broke out of that, because now I don't care.
I was gonna say, I left behind those ideas a long time
You're
ago.
smarter than me. You got
I
it a
was
lot
like-
better than me. Because now it's not. It's everything we talk about. It's freedom. It's time. It's, you're valuable as a person.
Yeah.
You mean something.
Yeah.
You have more control.
It's
And that's-
active change.
Yeah, that's what I hope for
Yeah.
you guys, even though, we work together. It's like, that's what I'm trying to instill in this business is, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
How can we grow? What are your interests? So-
Yeah, and being with you for 10 of those years.
Oh, you're the best.
You
Who
only,
would've thought? Who
you
would've
only
thought?
didn't have me for 4 years.
But I love that. God works in different mysterious
crazy.
ways, because I would have never thought, because you
I
were
did
19 in
not.
college, and I
was
thought you were
crazy.
going to be, which were needed, the stepping stone jobs.
Yeah.
But God had
But
other
it just,
plans.
the job just kept changing and evolving differently as my life kept changing
Yep.
and evolving differently.
And we
That's
worked
like-
with you, like
Yeah.
every time, like your schooling.
It
Sometimes
was-
you had to work very little.
Yes, it was like the best because it's good when you actually have a support system from your job, not like, oh my God, you're not going to come in again. Oh my gosh, you need that day
Right.
off. And it's more stress.
Yeah.
Versus, and like people like resenting you.
Yeah.
Versus you guys were cheering me on.
I was like, please don't
asking
leave
me
me.
how I'm doing and then
Yes.
clapping at the end of meetings. Like it's good to be in a place where they're actually like pushing you to go through those, because education is hard.
Yeah.
No matter what. I mean, some people it comes easier. For me, not so much.
Right.
So it is good to have like a support system that's actually like pushing you towards it, because it can feel like very difficult
Yeah.
sometimes.
So it's just like crazy the way the world goes. So anyway, we could do a whole podcast on
Yes,
that, because
we
sometimes
could.
I don't realize. But going back to our topic of the move. So
Yeah.
so we announced that we are moving our leases up here at the end of September. But our hope is to this is like fluid.
Yeah.
But our goal is to open our new location, and it'll be a different model in the middle of September. Like maybe we don't want any days off. Like we're
Yeah.
not going to be like not open, but
Yeah.
but maybe a little less lives as we transition.
Mm-hmm.
But probably mid-September, and it gives us a couple weeks to clean up the original space and be
Yeah.
able to hand the keys back and stuff like that. But we're really excited. So we're moving to a completely different model, which again, you have to be so flexible in not just life, but in small business entrepreneurship, because we're going to move from a very traditional retail space in a shopping center up in the front of the street with, passerbys, to a showroom type setting in an office condo type of
Yeah.
setting. If you've seen those where there's, a lot of either med spas or doctor's offices or lawyers or things like
Yeah,
that.
like laser eye
So
stuff.
like
Yeah.
that. Still, just for those that are not local to us, you won't see a change in the sense you're not coming to us anyway. But if you're local, it's less than it's about 10 to 15 minutes, depend on lights away, still in Pearland, but about 4 to 5 miles down the road on Broadway.
Yeah.
But it will be a little bit different. It's half the space. So let's just get into, and you'll see the change. So if you don't
Yeah.
follow us, definitely follow our socials that Jen mentioned, because we'll be posting there, watch our lives, but sign up for our email. You can do that through our website, brooksboutique.com, because we'll be doing a lot of updates along the way. But
Yeah.
if you pass by the boutique physically now that you've been going to for 14 years and we're not there, we did not close, we just moved. So what had happened was,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like you need to tell this more because as just I work there, so
Yeah.
I'm not seeing like everything that's going on between like them and you.
Yeah.
So it gets confusing, I guess, for me.
And I am definitely going to stay positive in the sense that, but looking back, though, this has been years in the, this story starts in 2022, actually,
Yeah.
2022. So we're right in the middle of getting out of COVID, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and again, I moved into that spot in 2011. So very quick backstory, that spot, which if you're not local to us, it's a great spot. It's in a corner of an intersection, a very busy intersection. So, and it's a lot of windows, so you can see right through. And it's in a typical kind of shopping center up front in the what they call the I forgot what they call it. The site pad is like in the corner.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was empty for 18 months in 2011 because it was right after the big market crash.
Yeah.
And so a lot of small businesses went under, and so. It was, I don't know, I was blinded at least to not freak out to try to open this after that crash. But so it was a great opportunity. And it was another small business company who owned the shopping center, meaning they didn't need like a big corporate business to be in there. They were open to mom and pop shops, and it was empty. So that was the time to try also because I wanted someone in the space. So the space was great. It's 2,000 square feet, very lit, very accessible, and it worked well. And I had a great relationship with the property management team for years. I did a 5-year lease, and then we opened Missouri City, a second location, a couple of years after that in 2013. We let that one go. We only did one lease there.
How many years were we there?
5 years.
5 years.
So
okay.
We didn't renew that lease in 2018. It didn't do as well. And so we closed it. And because in 2018, we're like, let's really focus on Pearland, was more profitable, and social media, even though it wasn't what it is kind of still now. But we still did some lives and posts and stuff like that. So, and then we just kept that going. 2020 hit, which, we closed down a little bit. It really changed how we functioned, but it did well for us. Like we did it changed our business. We had to develop quickly a shipping department and process, and we did well. So in 2011, then 25 years is 2016, I renewed another 5-year lease. So that ended in 2021. In 2021, I was going to sign another 5-year lease, but I guess that's what I did. At some point I signed a 4-year lease, but I don't know what the math ends up on that. But because that's why it was 2011 to 2025. Anyway, I think this one was a 4-year lease or 5-year. I don't know, whatever. But we got to 2021 and I signed another 5-year lease. I think or maybe it's the 4-year lease. Anyway, so 2022, it's been 11 years now, and there's a lot of wear and tear. Yeah. And if you don't know how it works, the company or the business is responsible for maintenance on anything on the inside, and the landlord is responsible for anything on the outside of the place, right? And so so the flooring, Andy actually put physically himself in 2011, and it's large for him to physically do. I didn't want to put a lot of money in. It's huge. And so we put like laminate flooring or whatever, and it was fine. But, small normal wear and tear. But what happened is the landlord, they did power washing outside, which was great to wipe down the, cobwebs and stuff like that. But they didn't tell us that they were coming. And so the way the front door works is it has some opening. Of course, it's not sealed at the bottom. And so water got inside, and they did it in the middle of the night or very early, and the water stayed inside, and with laminate flooring, it bubbled up and it ruined the front of it. And so I, of course, was like, oh my gosh. And I have a great relationship with them because I would be, I'm only laughing. I'm like, because I would be the one that's like, excuse me, this is broken. Excuse me, just so you know, this slide is out, outside in the community so they could keep it up. But I always paid I always think during COVID, if we ever worried, that you always got paid. Yeah. I was always early. I was not a complainer because I knew there were complainers, And so anyway, so I was always that
Good tenant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Model tenant to them.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, then I was like, oh my gosh, this flooring is ruined now.
Yeah.
And they had changed a couple property managers, like the actual person who was my go-to, a couple times at that point. And now it was someone I did not know, I never met, and was
Yeah.
not responsive. And this is not a big company. It's not like
Yeah.
a big CBRE and layers. It was it was also another small company that had one owner that had several shopping centers, and they were growing. And so I think what happened is they outgrew the capacity to take care of their tenants.
Yeah.
And they had this property manager in here who was not responsive. Who was and what went wrong is, there's the lessons to learn is don't promise things that you cannot deliver.
Yeah.
Because he was trying, and he didn't have the authority to deliver it, but he was saying like at that point I didn't know he didn't have the authority.
Yeah. We believed him.
Yeah, we believed him.
We
Because
picked out floors. We
yeah.
were looking.
Well,
we
he
were so
said
excited.
he said that I'm so sorry, we will change the floor for you.
Yeah.
Which to me was great because I needed the floor changed in general. It had been over 10 years.
Yeah.
But they really ruined the front, and you can't
Yeah.
like just change a patch. You have to like change the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it went around, and if you remember 2022, the housing was high, people were building, and interest rates were low. So and supply chain management was hard because of COVID. That everything price-wise skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And time-wise. And so anyway, he kept giving me the runaround or not answering me until I finally was getting really upset. And I really
Yeah.
don't get upset like that until I started to feel like you're just BSing me. You're
Yeah.
just like not even like caring.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, I finally was like, let me get the actual owner on the phone. And we got on the phone, and that's how you handle it.
Yeah.
Like the top guy to, if you have an upset customer and you're not getting it done.
Yeah.
It took a while to get him on the phone, which was upsetting also, but we got on the phone, and in the end, he was like, listen, I can understand the business side. He's like, it's a lot to get that flooring done, like $25,000 with the rates now, or the cost now.
$25,000 for laminate flooring?
Yeah, whatever flooring. And so I understood, and my lease, I think, was about I had 2 years on the lease. And he was like, I would do it if, because I have to think of the cost of if I put somebody else in there, and I gave him a little bit of tenant improvement. So it won't make sense for me to do it unless you re-sign your lease, and we can spread the cost out over 7 years, because you have 2 years left, and then sign a 5-year lease, and then but then I guess what really upset me, because by then I was already upset that they were giving me the runaround, was that he said that he said, well, I kind of have to see if I put somebody else in there, and if someone else goes in there, then what would I give them? And would that be less than, changing out this flooring, blah, 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 blah. And so I said, in that moment, like, I never thought of this before, but in that moment I said, you know what? You're right. I too do not have to stay here.
Yeah.
But it never crossed my mind that we would ever leave that space.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? In my mind, I didn't say it, but I was like, yeah, same thing. I don't have to stay here either.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think I had heard another, a small business, not here, but in this group I'm in, that said that out of nowhere in a shopping center like that the landlord decided to not renew their lease because they wanted a big box store in there. And so that would pay more and give more like name to the shopping center,
like
and other places would fill. So I thought, and she closed her business out of nowhere because it was too
that's
expensive to
heartbreaking.
move it. So I said, oh my God, I cannot rely on someone else being in control of my business like this.
Yeah.
And rent was going up, and whatever. So I didn't say anything then, and I just wanted to see how that played out. But in the meantime, I found where we're moving to.
Yeah.
And so instead of going to another place where we would just rent again and have no control, I said, what if we bought something? And at this point, the business has shifted to more social media and not a lot of walk-in. I mean, it's gotten better now, but it's really, back then it was like everyone was not
dead.
Yeah, it was dead physically because people weren't going out.
It still is during the week. I would say we don't have that many people coming in, but during the weekend,
They're out.
They're
Yeah.
actually coming.
Yeah.
So I think that's like 5 days out of the week that
Yeah.
we're not that, or even 4 days. Yeah. 4 to 5.
So ultimately so they were building these office condos that you kind of see around, at least here in Texas more. I don't know I think in maybe other places, but they started building these office condos. and you can buy them. Some of them still like lease them from the developer, but these you could buy. And so it was a fairly, and I thought, why wouldn't I not buy, you know? Because if I did the math on how much rent I've spent in 14 years, it's in the millions. And so I was like, let me buy something. So we looked at them. They were being built. I wanted a specific spot, like in the corner to be easy to find. And I said, you know what, let's just do it. This is in 2022 I signed. It was being built, so it closed 2023, and so we still had 2 years. And originally I thought different things. Could we open 2, but then you'd have to staff 2 and do everything 2? It didn't make sense yet. So honestly, I have been sitting on it for 2 years, just, you know, paying the mortgage. And sometimes you'll see us pop in there. If you know, Lauren, I think when we did our first event, she had housed everything in there that we were saving for the event. So she was in there. We've done little things in there.
We like worked there for like a week once.
Oh yeah, I think there was something. And so we
did
used
some
it.
meetings.
We've had all of our parties there, like Tori's baby shower.
It's kind of random place.
Soraya had her 30-year-old birthday shoot
we used it
there.
as a photo shoot.
We used it as a photo shoot location. So really nothing. I mean, it's literally gorgeous, brand new, sits there for 2 years, but I've been paying on that as well. Just waiting for this lease to end and fully deciding that we were leaving that place. So the lesson, so that's what we're doing. So it's going to go from more of a retail common space to a showroom. We'll still be physically open to the public. It is, and that's part of the reason why we went ahead and started closing on Sundays, because I knew we were going to close on Sunday there because it just doesn't make sense to be open. It's not a retail type of space, you know. And we might even change again, you know. Like I was like, maybe I think Saturdays will probably be like less, I feel like.
Just depends.
Yeah, just depends. So we're going to do a lot of different things that will hopefully make it a lot better, because right now the girls work frantically to push out 4 lives a day because it's so expensive to be in that space, so we can kind of breathe a little bit more. A lot of the expenses will go away. I'm hoping, and God willing, that we still do well, and we will, and that we can actually give some increases, and we won't have to be so frantic just to try to pay these bills.
Yeah. We have Sundays off, but we definitely utilize those days. We're either recording a podcast, we try and meet sometimes, I do my pop-ups that day. So it's like good to have like a day where we can actually do more things that actually branch us further.
Yeah, but now I want all that to be Saturday. I really want y'all to have Sundays off. Like your pop-up should be Saturdays.
Yeah. That will shift once we move, but at least we have like to further us versus we're chasing our tail all the time.
Yeah.
Because that was what was happening, is we were constantly doing
and
that.
I think this is an opportunity to redo a lot of things. Like now I think we're going to roll this out as we go and see how it works, is we will probably do, not yet, but when we move into that space, 1 larger live a day, like, and specific to category. So now that we're doing 4 lives randomly, and it's whatever comes in and whatever we can think of, I think we're going to go towards, like, it's plans. Like Mondays is going to, I'm just making something up, but like Monday is going to be your designer handbags and shoes live, and whatever we can show there. And that's one, and it's probably at a set time. Maybe we can get it to where we're like at 1 o'clock every day.
Definitely a set time.
Yeah, set time. You're ready to go, and it's that one. Tuesdays will be clothes. You know, Wednesdays will be the luxury hand. I don't know. So that way, it's a little bit more structured and not madness.
It's not like I found this today, y'all.
Yeah. That's what we do. That's why I'm laughing. I'm like this. I'm like, what are we showing today?
I
Again.
hope somebody comes in with stuff.
and that is actually one of the other shifts that we're going to do. Is we had a meeting last week with Jen, Soraya, and Brooke, and I said, if I had to say in the last 14 years, what is the one focus of every day, what would you say it was? And everyone knew it was
Sales,
making sales. And it's still very, very important. But then I said, in this new capacity, we're shifting, we have to shift our mindset and shift our focus and focus with our customers and clients. Is the selling will happen. So what do we actually need to shift all of our energy to is sourcing, right? Yeah. Because we're not, you know, a lot of times, and that means like going to get more things, doing ways to refer your friends. How do we go out and pick up more stuff? How do we talk about it more? Because we don't do any socials about consignment and bringing in things. We do it all about selling. So we're going to shift it a little bit, because if we have the amazing things, then it always sells itself. Because anytime Jen comes back from a pop-up and she gets things, then the next day it's always great because of all the things she got. So we don't
trickles down into the week and helps us.
Yeah. So
it'll
the
be
lesson.
good.
So my lesson, though, in all of that, what I'm trying to tell you is, sometimes you are so blinded by what you think it is, like what your path is, what your plan was, how it's been running for 15 years, like 10 years, that it never dawns on you that you have a different choice. And I say that because and I am a planner, but that is exactly what happened in this space. Nowhere ever have I thought, even until that moment in that phone call, that moving the business was an option. And I think that's what I got so upset is, I'm like, we've got to figure this out as a team. So that was one. My mind shifted to be like, I'm still in control. And two is when you realize that who you thought was a partner here, it was a business partner, which was the landlord, but it could be in a relationship, it could be in friendships, it could be in other work, is if you are no longer aligned together with whoever you have partnered with, and one is taking you down. In this scenario, I was aligned with the landlord. We worked well together until we didn't. And it was taking, like, they didn't care. They were still getting rent. I was the one who was suffering. That and our business was the one that was suffering. That I did not have to stay in that partnership anymore, And I was, and it was, I don't hold anyone, it's not personal, but I was very, I don't know if clear is the right word, but I was professional and kind to say that partnership no longer serves me. Like, it's no longer, these are the issues I had, and these were not addressed, and I didn't like pop off or anything. You keep it professional always. But that was, I think, when we were talking about this, the lesson learned. Those two things is sometimes you just got to understand that what your idea is going to happen until something shifts. You're like, that's not what it is,
Yeah, I mean, that's like life. You can play every card right, but you never know what the dealer's hand is.
And mind you, it's scary. So this translates because us doing this move is scary. It's going to be a whole different model. Sometimes our fears are, will people still locally follow us? If we go to this one live a day, will our numbers still hit? Will we get enough things? For me, will I still be able to support everyone I'm responsible for and grow it? And these are normal fears. But I also have to have the full belief that if we do the things we're supposed to do, and it will happen the way it's supposed to happen. And if I truly, for me personally, if I truly give this to God and say, if I follow your plan and you have made me responsible for the people, the staff, the consigners, the people we touch, and I know that it's coming from you, then you will take care of us, and I can give you my worry. And so that's really what I've done, because I've worried a lot.
It's a big step. I mean, I think it's kind of like almost when I was thinking about when we closed MC, there was a
Missouri
lot of
City.
uncertainty with that.
The
I
second
thought, I
boutique,
was like, are we going to take me too? Like, coming with you guys.
Well, and that's really what is important. 'Cause like this whole time with you guys, I have made sure you understood the process, because I know these are your livelihoods. And that's why I've been prepared. For those that don't know behind the scenes, what I've tried to do is, because they say that way, I'm like, don't leave me, because I really am. Tell me what you need to stay. What was the call? And this is just for anyone, is to really understand what your goal is. Because I said to Soraya, Brooke, and Jen in particular, that's who was there. As I said, tell me what this was just last week. Tell me your professional goal. Because is there a way we can incorporate that in the business? And let me tell you what my vision of the business is, and where you think it is, besides just where you might fit in with what your goal is. Because ringing up people is not, I know your goal. Right?
I don't think that is anyone's goal, but definitely I think that sometimes there are good things about even like small jobs. Like, you get to talk to people every single day, and some people that come in regularly for like such a long time, and really do become like a part of a community. that you never thought you'd be a part of, because small shops like that where people greet you every time you come in is actually kind of rare.
Yeah.
Whenever I go shopping, nobody's like saying, "Hey Jen," nobody knows my name.
Yeah.
Nobody knows like the things, like I'm looking for a particular something and I know like what your size is and how you like that, you know? So it's those little things that I think make our store kind of special. And that is kind of the bittersweet part about moving, I feel, because I'm like, that will go away. So it's kind of like, it's not going to go away, but it's just going to be different. So I'm just trying to like understand like that change, I guess.
Yeah.
And just trying to see.
Well, you have to just trust the process,
Yeah.
right? You have to trust it, and we are always flexible.
Yeah.
And we have to be, and I think this will give us time to do the things to work on not just me, but everyone to work on the business instead of just in it, you know, and really grow it.
Yeah.
And we're not and the beauty of it is we're not the first ones to do it. You know,
Yeah.
we're a mix of different businesses that are already out there.
Yeah.
So, and we'll cater to what our clients want.
I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely like an exciting new chapter
Me
to
too.
see like what is going to happen. And I'm just excited to see like how far we can grow, especially since we're now working on the business versus like chasing our tail all the time. I'm happy
Yeah.
that we're going to make these changes. I think we're making all the right moves right now, because I do see a lot of those big box retail stores not doing so well
Yeah.
anymore, because like the mentality has really shifted. People buy online versus
Right.
actually coming
Yeah.
into a store and shopping. Of course, there are people that will always prefer like to go into a store, but it's just not what it used to be.
And you
those,
still can with us.
yeah, those big stores just have so much space that it's just not enough people coming in anymore.
I
So it's
know.
like it's lessened. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw that it's lessened. I can't imagine like JCPenney's or Macy's how much it's like
Right.
less people going in. So
I'm
it's
excited.
crazy.
So that's our story.
Yeah.
So do follow us. Do follow us, brooksboutique.com. Social media will be obviously the best way,
Yeah.
as well as our newsletter. Because social media will still be selling and I'll be chatting, but if you want it like written down, the newsletter, the newsletter that we do as we update will go along the way. And so it is going to be good stuff. Like we've taken a lot of everyone's feedback over the last few months, years, and both on the consignor side and the customer side. And I think it's going to be a little bit more streamlined. I will say we're going to introduce account managers, which I think is great.
That's going to be fun.
Where it's not a random, like Jen or Soraya, maybe Brooke will be assigned to every consignor, and they are they will be your one go-to person to always check in on you that you can call. So things like that just makes it a little bit more personalized, a little bit more like hands-on.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. So I know we've chatted for a while now, but I just wanted to be able to explain a little bit of where we got here. Again, that we still have a couple months, so don't leave us at the boutique yet. But the main purpose is also to, if you don't come often, that we didn't close. We're just in a different
still
place.
there.
But I know. But again, it really only will affect like those local. Those that watch us online will just continue to watch us
and those
online.
who come in and are local, I think won't really affect. It's those people that just come into the store to shop. I think that's what's going to be the most. But there's, again, we used to have a lot more, and it's very few. Most of them either shop online and come in. So there's a very small minority that actually just comes in.
So I'm excited. So if you have any questions, suggestions, don't hesitate to let us know. And then that will also give all of us an ability to work on the secondary or the other business we do, which is the real estate side as a team, making sure everyone knows and who can we help. And Brooke and I are your realtors and that, but the team is the support team and contact as well. So I'm excited. I'm just super excited about what the next year will be. And I think it's gonna be so wonderful, and I'm just gonna be super. Is it bad to say I'm like counting down? Well, they know I'm counting down. I'm counting down how many more. Like,
I think everybody's on like
time, rent checks.
It is like actually like moving your house.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
very similar feelings.
That's
You're
gonna
just
be a
like,
nightmare to be in there for 14 years, and the stuff we have in every nook and cranny is gonna be probably what we need.
Scary, actually.
The two weeks to just like dump
Haul
everything.
out
Anyway, thank you guys for chatting and listening. Again, don't hesitate if you have a question. And stay tuned for all of our news. Up until then, end of the summer, status quo.
Yeah.
Like CS will be doing all the frantic lives. And we're still taking in consignments, everything. And I think we're going to really have a great fall. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you guys
thank
so
you.
much. Hope to see you back, and we'll be back soon for another podcast.
All right. Bye.
Bye.